Byronic Hero. I love the name of that hand cannon. What's good, Guardians? Our search continues for awesome TTK weapons that are easy to obtain and can do quite well in the Crucible. And guess what? The Byronic Hero fits that bill quite nicely. You might recognize its rate of fire and impact stats from a little gun called Hawkmoon. That's right, it has the identical rate of fire and impact stats as Hawkmoon, and it actually outshines it in the aim assist category by quite a significant margin, which is one of the weapon's greatest strengths. Additionally, this weapon is a lot like a Taken King version of Up the Ante, which is a hand cannon that I reviewed back during House of Wolves, easy to get and could do quite well in the Crucible. If you don't know who to buy it from, don't worry, I'll show you a picture of the guy after the site review. By the way, look at the hammer. It's a really cool hammer. So mine came from the vendor, and it had True Sight IS, Fast Draw IS, and Quick Draw IS. True Sight offered the smallest grouping and the best aim assist, but Quick Draw offered that really snappy aiming and shots that we like. The Crucible Quartermaster is that cute little robot that's across from Shax. My vendor version came with Exhumed as the first perk, which is helpful in 3v3 PvP game types. Hammer Forge, which is super duper helpful because hand cannons have some nasty damage fall off now. Explosive rounds, which is meh for me, but high caliber rounds can be very useful in PvP. And my favorite, Third Eye. I love Third Eye. Keeps your radar active while aiming down the sights. So let's compare this to Hawkmoon for a second. Hawkmoon being, in my opinion, the best hand cannon in PvP right now, and I also think up close and personal, if I don't say the last word is good, there's going to be a lot of last word players who are like, hey bro, you forgot to say last word, so I said it. So in regards to Hawkmoon, same rate of fire, same impact as this weapon. That means 2 body shots, 1 headshot will kill. You'll be dealing 57 body damage and 86 delicious precision damage when you get those headshots. Now here's the thing I mentioned earlier, the aim assist stat is pretty nice on this weapon. In fact, it's a little bit more than double what the base aim assist is on the Hawkmoon. So a lot of times you get precision headshots with this thing that don't always feel like you have to be totally perfectly on their head. And that really is the main strength of the weapon. Other than that, you don't have a damage over time, you don't have crazy high rate of fire, you do need to land your shots. But the other cool thing too is the recoil is almost purely vertical if you're using the True Sight, and that's really easy to manage on a hand cannon of this type. The other 2 sights that it came with on mine pulled up and to the right a little bit, but still, even when I was mashing the trigger really hard trying to get out shots as quickly as possible, fairly easy to manage that recoil as long as I pulled the crosshairs down during a really fast rapid shot string. So how does this weapon actually feel then in the Crucible? Feels pretty darn good as long as you're in the new hand cannon optimal range, close to mid-range. Killing at long range with this thing, it's going to be very frustrating. You don't want to be going toe-to-toe with the Red Death player when he's sitting on a mid to long range sightline. It's just not going to work out well for yourself unless the Red Death player makes a pretty big mistake. The magazine on the Byronic can be anywhere between 7 and 11. Mine had 8. And since you don't have any crazy cool perks like you do with the Last Word or with Hawkmoon, that is a big turnoff for the gun. I found it to be most useful in situations where you only had to manage a couple of threats. So 3v3 playlists, this weapon felt the best. Whenever I took it into Clash, Control, Rift, or 6v6 game types, dealing with multiple threats at once was a struggle. And that's rooted in the Byronic's base stats. It's a low rate of fire, high impact hand cannon, so not much you can do to change there. And the reload is slow enough on this hand cannon, a little bit below average unless you have some perks that can change that, to where it can get you in trouble again. So this is a careful planning ahead kind of a weapon, and one of those guns that I think is much better in a 3v3 PvP game situation than it is a 6v6 or some sort of chaotic, really fast-paced type of game. Mayhem Clash is not where I would want to have this weapon in my hand. Byronic, though, is not below average. This gun will give you a lot of precision headshots that with other hand cannons you wouldn't get. It just feels good in 1v1 situations close up, and you'll enter mid-range engagements with confidence most of the time. In regards to where I think it falls on the tier list, above average, not top tier. And that's pretty standard for Vanguard or Crucible weapons that you can buy that are legendaries. Who do I think this is good for? Well, if you don't own a Year 2 Hawkmoon, this might be a really good gun to have in your arsenal for the upcoming Iron Banner event. Do I think it's going to rock in Trials of Osiris? If you infuse this thing up to maybe like 295 attack, who knows? I'm going to run it in Trials and give it a go, but I'm also going to have my Year 2 Hawkmoon ready to go and my Year 2 Red Death ready to go. Well, let's say you're a PvP player who loves hand cannons, but can't say goodbye to a secondary exotic or a heavy exotic, right? Since the Byronic is a legendary weapon, you don't have to worry about taking up an exotic slot, which is a bit of a benefit, right? If you already have a Year 2 hand cannon you love in the Crucible, or if you have a Hawkmoon or like a Last Word and you love those guns and you don't want to spend 150 marks, then don't. You know, the Byronic by no means is ridiculously top tier. But if you're in the boat that I know a lot of Guardians are, who liked playing with hand cannons in PvP and they have yet to get a nice Year 2 one that's fit and ready to go for the upcoming Iron Banner event, then a Byronic is a really good option. Now, you could also look at the Vanity, which is a future War Cult hand cannon that's going to do a little bit better in PvE than this weapon will. Also, you could look at the Appellant 3, I think that's what it is. That's the new Monarchy hand cannon. I have one of those hand cannons, and I don't like it very much. I think Byronic outshines it in almost every aspect. But that's my thoughts. Thank you, Guardians, for watching. If you have yourself a Byronic, let me know what the perk rolls are on it and how you like it. It's interesting to see how many of you have these weapons and all the different roll combos that are available. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm BBKDRAGOON, and I'll see you next time.